Sage Shonaka requested Sataji to tell about the proper method of listening to Shiva Purana so that mankind gets complete benefit. Sataji replied, "First of all, an auspicious moment should be determined by an astrologer. After that, friends and relatives should be invited, especially those who have the tendency of being away from such occasions. The sages and the virtuous people should be invited too. The katha must be held in scared places like Shiva temple, any place of pilgrimage, or in one's home after doing a Bhumi Pujan of the land where one intends to hold the katha of Shiv Puran. The canopy should be well decorated. After making a resolution and doing worship of Ganpati, the destroyer of all hurdles and obstacles, the katha should be commenced. The person who is telling the katha should be facing north and all the listeners should sit facing east. The person who is telling the katha should be a scholar and should be capable of clearing all the doubts from the listener's mind. There should be no kind of distraction during the katha period. A devotee who listens to the katha leaving behind all of his worldly worries get complete benefits. A devotee should also make donations and offerings according to his capacity and capability, otherwise he would become a wretched man. The mantra Om Namah Shivaya should be chanted throughout the period of katha. Right of listening to Shiva Maha Purana. An uninitiated person does not have the right to listen to the katha of Shiva Maha Purana. So a man desirous of listening to Shiva Maha Purana should first get initiated. Austerities to be followed. A devotee who has taken the vow of listening to the katha of Shiva Maha Purana should follow a celibate life. He should sleep on the floor and should have only fruits in the diet. He can have his normal dinner only after the completion of the katha. The diet should be fresh and pure. He should also try to avoid sinful tendencies like lust, anger, greed, attachment, and condemning others, etc. Making donations of even meager things give undiminishing virtues. Rites performed on completion of observance. After the methodical completion of the katha, a devotee should perform Udyapan, conclusion of the katha, which is similar to the Chaturdashi Udyapan. The devotee should also charitably make donations to all the Brahmins who have helped in the performance of katha. On the next day, the path of Shiv Gita should be performed. If the devotee, listener of the katha, is a householder, then he should perform havan with the ghee prepared from cow's milk for the pacification of the unhindered completion of the katha. The havan should be performed either with the help of Rudra Samhita mantras or Gayatri mantra or with the shlokas of the Purana. 1. Viddyeshwar Samhita. This chapter contains 24 sections. 1.1 Sages Inquire. Vidyeshwar Samhita, which is classified into 25 chapters, has a narration in its first chapter which goes as follows. Once upon a time, the sages were performing a yagya at Priyakshetra. Sage Sataji came to know about this and arrived there. All the sages were very pleased to see him. They requested, "Lord, though we have heard many tales from you regarding the man's benediction, but today we want to listen to something special. Because in this present era of Kali, when all the castes have forgotten about their respective duties, we want to know, is there any way to prevent the deterioration in the human values?" Sataji replied, "O great men, your inquiry has great relevance in this era of Kali. I will certainly tell you about the way by the help of which a man can achieve benediction. Shiva Mahapurana contains the essence of Vedantic philosophy, which gives worldly pleasures as well as salvation. Mere remembrance of it destroys all the sins of a man. One who studies the Rudra Samhita attentively, his gravest of sins are destroyed instantaneously. One who studies Rudra Samhita silently, sitting in front of Bhairavidal, all of his aspirations are fulfilled. A man gets liberated from the sin of killing a Brahmin if he studies Rudra Samhita while circumambulating around a banyan tree. Kailash Samhita is even superior than Rudra Samhita as it elaborates upon the meaning of Omkar. Shiva Mahapurana is created by Lord Shiva himself. It contains 12 Samhitas which are Viddyeshwar, Rudra, Vinayak, Uma, Matri, Ekadash Rudra, Kailash, Shat Rudra, Koti Rudra, Sahasra Koti, Vaivya and Dharma. Initially, it contained 1 lakh shlokas, but it was precise to 24,000 shlokas by sage Vyas. The present Shiv Puran is the fourth one, which consists of 7 Samhitas. The earlier 3 Shiv Puranas are unavailable. The scientific analysis of the Vedantic mysteries are the main subject of this divine Shiv Puran. The study of Shiv Puran helps a man to attain dharma, artha, calm, and moksha. 1.2 Proposition and Means. Sitaji continued with his narration. During the initial period of Svetvara Kalp, 6 prominent sages collected near Triveni and started debating as to who is the greatest deity among Brahma, Vishnu, and Mahesh. Their debate remained inconclusive, so they went to Lord Brahma to seek the answer. Lord Brahma told them, "O revered sages, the source of Vishnu, Rudra, all the deities including myself, and all the other creations is none other Mahadev. Union with the Shiva should be the objective of a man to attain that objective. Listening to the qualities of Lord Shiva, singing devotional songs in his praise, and contemplating on him are the greatest means which help to unite with Shiva." 1.3 Listening, Kirtan, Contemplation. Shravan Kirtana Manana. Purification of the mind by the help of doing worship and chanting the name of God is called contemplation. Singing devotional songs in the form of stotra, or hymns of the Vedas, or even in one's own language is called kirtan. The above-mentioned 3 activities are the supreme means to attain liberation. 1.4 Greatness of Shiva Linga. According to Sitaji, if a person is incapable of following the above-mentioned 3 activities, i.e. Shravan, Kirtan, and Manan, then he should worship the Shiva Linga. Even by doing this, he can attain liberation from all the bondages of the world. Describing about the majesty of Shiva Linga, Sitaji says, Lord Shiva is the manifestation of Almighty God, Brahma, himself, and for this very reason he is known as Nishkal. Because of his divine beauty, Shiva is called Saguna, God with form. The term Saguna is also expressed in another way, that is Sakal. Shiva Linga is worshipped since it symbolizes the form of Shiva. Lord Shiva is also considered to be Nirguna, without any qualities. In the first Kalpa of Swetvara, a battle was fought between Lord Brahma and Lord Vishnu to prove their superiority. Lord Shiva manifested before arrogance. After that, he also showed them his form in the shape of Shiva Linga. From that day onwards, the Shiva Linga became famous. 1.5 The deities go to Kailash mountain. Nandikshwarji narrates the tale of battle between Lord Brahma and Lord Vishnu. Once while traveling, Lord Brahma reached the abode of Lord Vishnu. He saw Lord Vishnu resting on Sheshnag and being attended by Garuda and other attendants. When Brahmaji saw that Vishnu did not get up to receive him, he became very angry. Very soon, verbal duel erupted between them. It became so severe that a battle was fought between them, which continued for a very long time. All the deities arrived from the heaven to watch the battle. They became very worried when they saw no sign of battle coming to an end. They decided to go to Lord Shiva to seek his help. 1.6 Anal Stam, the Pillar of Fire. Though Lord Shiva knew everything, but still feigning ignorance, he asked about the well-beings of the world. The deities told him about the battle fought between Brahmaji and Vishnuji. Lord Shiva then sent his 100 Ganas to pacify both of them. He too went there accompanied by Mother Parvati, boarded on a chariot. When Lord Shiva reached there, he saw that Brahmaji and Vishnuji were about to use their deadly weapons, Maheshvar and Pashupat respectively. Fearing the destruction which these deadly weapons might have caused, Lord Shiva manifested himself in the form of Anal Stamba, Pillar of Fire, between them. Brahmaji and Vishnuji had already released their weapons, Maheshvar and Pashupat. Both the weapons fell into that pillar of fire and got destroyed. Brahmaji and Vishnuji were very surprised to see the pillar of fire, which was so enormous in size that it reached the sky and penetrated down the earth. Vishnuji transformed himself into a boar and went to the Padal, netherworld, to find the base of that pillar of fire. But he was unsuccessful in his attempt and came back. Similarly, Brahmaji transformed himself into a swan and flew up in the sky to find its limit. While going through the aerial route, he met a withered Ketaki flowers, which had still some freshness and fragrance left in it. Lord Shiva smiled at the futile attempts of Sri Brahmaji and Vishnuji. As a result of his smile, the Ketaki flower fell down from the branch. Ketaki flower told Brahmaji that he had been present there since the beginning of the creation, but was unable to know about the origin of that pillar of fire. The flower also advised Brahmaji against making any effort in that direction, as it would be of no use. Brahmaji then sought the help of Ketaki flower to give a false witness before Lord Vishnu that he, Brahmaji, had been successful in seeing the limit of that pillar of fire. Ketaki flower agreed. Both of them went to Vishnuji and Brahmaji told him that he had seen the limit of that pillar of fire. Ketaki flower gave a witness. Vishnuji accepted the superiority of Brahmaji. Lord Shiva became very angry with Brahmaji. He proceeded to punish Brahmaji for his falsehood. Lord Vishnu requested Lord Shiva to spare the life of Brahmaji. Lord Shiva became pleased with Vishnuji and accorded him the same status as had of his own. 1.7 Shiva obliges Brahma. Nandikeshwar, continuing with the tale, said, after according same status to Vishnuji as that of his own, Lord Shiva opened his third eye from it manifested Bhairav. He ordered Bhairav to kill Brahmaji. Bhairav severed the fifth head of Lord Brahma with his sword. Brahmaji became very terrified. He was trembling in fear. Lord Vishnu felt pity on his condition and requested Lord Shiva to forgive him. Lord Shiva then stopped Bhairav, but told Brahma, "You spoke untruth with a desire to become worshipable. It is my curse that you will not be worshipped by anybody. You will possess only 4 heads." Brahmaji begged his forgiveness. Lord Shiva, feeling pity on Brahmaji, gave him a boon of being the presiding deity of all the yajna. Similarly, the Ketaki flower also prohibited from being used during worship. But when Ketaki flower tendered his apology, Shiva gave blessing that it would be fortunate to be offered to Lord Vishnu during the worship. 1.8 Consecration of Maheshwar. Lord Vishnu and Brahma made salutations to Lord Shiva and offered him a seat. They then worshipped him. This was the first time Brahma and Vishnu had worshipped Lord Shiva. Shiva was very pleased. Shivaratri has been continued to be celebrated since that day. This particular day is considered to be the most auspicious day for the worship of Lord Shiva. A devotee who fasts on Shivaratri, remaining only on fruits, attain virtues equivalent to the worship done for the whole year. The idol of Shiva is consecrated on this day. Lord Shiva has himself told the deities that he had manifested in the form of pillar of fire in the month of Agahan and during the constellation of Ardra. He also said, "One who has my darshan on this day, Shivratri, or worships me in my form of linga is dearer to me than Kartikeya. The place where I manifested in the form of pillar of fire will become famous as Lingasthan. Because of its resemblance with the mountain of fire, it will also be known Arunachal." Later on, Shiva brought back to life all the people who had died in the battle fought between Brahmaji and Vishnuji. 1.9 Omkar. Lord Shiva then preached Brahmaji and Vishnuji on the 5 duties. Panchakritya, saying that Shrishti creation, Sthiti position, Samhar, annihilation, Tirabhav concealment, and Anugrah, obligation or kindness, are the 5 duties by which this world functions. The source of this world in Sarga or nature. The establishment of this world is Sthiti or position. The tendency of this world to destroy is Samhar or destruction. The feeling of absence of this world is Tirabhav or concealment, and Moksha or salvation is obligation or Anugrah. Lord Shiva then goes on to explain that the first 4 duties like Sarga, nature, etc. help in the nurturement of the world, and the 5th duty Anugrah is a giver of salvation. Lord Shiva also told them, Brahmaji and Vishnuji, that he, Shiva, had blessed both of them to look after the 2 duties, i.e. Shrishti and Sthiti. Rudra and Mahesh have been entrusted with the job of Sanar and Tirabhav. The fifth duty, Anugrah, has been kept by me," said Shiva. After describing about the allocation of the various duties, Lord Shiva described the meaning of Omkar to them. He said that Omkar signified the world and contained the power of both Shiva and Shakti. This powerful mantra gives all kinds of worldly accomplishment as well as salvation. After that, Lord Shiva initiated both Brahmaji and Vishnuji with the Omkar mantra. He also preached them on the importance of the worship of Shivalinga. 1.10 Rituals of Shiva worship. On the request of the sages, Sitaji describes about the methods of worshipping Shiva Linga. He says, "One should construct a Shiva Linga either of mud, rock, or metal and establish it in such a place where it can be worshipped daily without any hindrance. The char, mobile, linga should be small in size and the sthira, fixed. Linga should be large. The linga should be constructed along with the pedestal. The rule for constructing a Shiva linga has been specifically described. The breadth of thickness of the linga should be 12 times the thickness of the devotees, one who is constructing the linga, finger, while the length should be 25 times. After establishing the linga in the above-mentioned way, it should be worshipped after performing the Shodasopakar. The thumb also symbolizes a Shiva linga and its worship can be done. While worshipping the Shiva linga, the mantra Om Namah Shivaya should be continuously chanted. Chanting this mantra for 5 crore times helps a man in attaining to the abode of Shiva. Worship of Shiva done during the midnight is considered to be especially fructifying. 1.11 Sacred pilgrimages of Shiva. There are numerous places of pilgrimages connected with Shiva at the banks of River Ganges and River Industry. River Sarasvati is considered to be a sacrosanct river, and having an opportunity of living at its banks helps in attaining to the abode of Brahma. Similarly, there are famous temples of Lord Shiva at Kashi, Naimisharanya, Badrikasharam, and Kedar, etc. There are many temples of Shiva at the banks of holy river like Ganges, Yamuna, Sarasvati, Godavari, Nirmada, Kaveri, Sarayu, Tungabhadra, etc. Worshipping Shiva at these places bestows undiminishing virtues and liberates a man from all of his sins. 1.12 Conduct of the respective castes. On the request of the sages, Sitaji described about the virtuous and invirtuous activities of a man according to the respective castes he belong. He said, "A Brahmin who performs the rituals, as described in the Vedas, only is entitled to be called a Dvija. A Brahmin who is not that proficient in the Vedas is called a Kshatriya Brahmin. A Brahmin engaged in agricultural activities and business is called a Vaishya Brahmin. A Brahmin who is in the habit of condemning and criticizing others is called a Shudra Brahmin. A Kshatriya who looks after the welfare of his subjects is called a king, while the rest of them are known as simply Kshatriya. A Kshatriya who indulges in business is called a Vaishya Kshatriya. Similarly, a Kshatriya who engages himself in the service of the 3 superior castes, Brahmin, Kshatriya, and Vaishya, is called a Shudra Kshatriya. 1.13 Types of Dharma. Dharma is considered to be of 2 types. 1. Dharma performed by matter and materials. 2. Dharma performed by indulging in physical activities. The performance of yajna, etc. comes in the first category. Making pilgrimages of holy places comes in the second category. During the Satya Yuga, meditation was the way to attain self-knowledge. During Treta Yuga, it was attained by penance. During Dwapar Yuga, it was attained by performing yajna, while in the present era of Kali Yuga, idol worship is considered to be the means to achieve self-realization. Invirtuosity invites sorrow while virtuosity bestows joy and happiness. The importance of Agniy. The sages then ask Sitaji about the Agnyajya Brahma Yajna and Guru Puja in order of importance. Sitaji said, "Performing heaven by offering matter and materials into the sacred fire is called Agni Yajna. This ritual is especially meant for the Brahmachari celibates. Performing Havana during the evening time brings prosperity, while performance of Havana during the morning times gives long life. Making sacrifices to the deities during the daytime is called Devayagya. A Brahmin should perform Brahma Yagya with the help of the study of the Vedas. First of all, Lord Shiva adopted an auspicious day for himself and named it Sunday. After that, he named the 6 remaining days of the week and attributed them to the following deities respectively: Monday, Durga; Tuesday, Skand; Wednesday, Vishnu; Thursday, Yama; Friday, Brahma; and Saturday, Indra. Worshipping the deities on their respective days give peace, prosperity, and all kinds of accomplishments. 1.14 Appropriate place and time for worshipping Shiva. Importance of place. In the Viddyeshwar Samhita of Shivapuran, describing about the importance of place and time for worship of Shiva says, worshipping Shiva at a pure place in a house gives appropriate fruits, while worship done in a cowshed gives virtue, which are 10 times more than the former one. Worshipping Shiva at the banks of a river gives 10 times more virtues than the second one. Worship of Shiva done either in temple, under the basil plant, etc., or at the banks of Sapt Ganga gives 10 times more virtue than the third one. If Shiva is worshipped at the seashore, then the fourth one, while worshipping Shiva on the peak of a mountain, gives 10 times more virtue than the fifth one. But worship done with a fully concentrates mind gives the best fruits. Importance of time. During the Satya Yuga, performance of yagya and donations gave complete results. During the Treta Yuga, it gave half, while in the present Kali Yuga, it gives 1/4 results. Virtuosity performed with a pure heart does not go in vain. The other auspicious days in order of their increasing importance are Surya Sankranti, Tula Sankranti, and Mesh Sankranti, lunar eclipse and solar eclipse respectively. 1.15 Worshipping the idol of Shiva. It has been mentioned in the 16th chapter of Viddyeshwar Samhita that all the desires of a man are completely fulfilled if he worship even an earthen idol of Shiva. For making an idol of Shiva, they should be acquired from the base of river, pond, well, or any such other place. In this clay, fragrant powder and milk should be added to make it into a paste. After the constructing of idol is complete, it should be worshipped by all the 16 types of rituals Shodasapakar. If the Shiva Linga is constructed by somebody else, then 3 sera of Navadya should be offered to the deity, whereas if one himself has constructed the Shiva Linga, then the 1/4 of a sera should be offered. If such an idol is worshipped for 1,000 times, then it helps a devotee in attaining to the Satyaloka. Performing abhishek of such an idol helps in self-purification. Offering fragrance gives virtues. Navadya increases the lifespan, and worshipping it with dup gives wealth and prosperity respectively. Worshipping the idol with a burning lamp gives knowledge to the devotee, whereas offering betel leaves gives splendors. A devotee who worships Lord Shiva in the Hindu month of Magh and on Krishna Chaturdashi achieves longevity of life. Both worldly pleasures and salvation are achieved by worshipping Shiva. Worshipping Shiva in the Hindu month of Kartik by going japa, penance, etc. gives special fruits, and the devotee becomes free from all kinds of diseases. If a devotee worships Lord Shiva on Sunday, he becomes free from rebirth. 1.16 The majesty of Pranav Panchakshar. The root sounds akar, ukar, makar, bindu, and nad, which are free from the delusions and which originates from the mother nature, are called pranav. It is of 2 types. A. Gross. B. Subtle. Pranav mantra Om and Om Namah Shivaya. It symbolizes the unified power of Shiva and Shakti and destroys all the sins of a man. A man desirous of worldly pleasures must chant the mantra Hrishva Pranav, containing the 3 root sounds A, U, and Ma, which symbolizes Brahma, Vishnu, and Mahesh respectively. On the other hand, a man aspiring for the salvation must chant the mantra Dirgha Pranav, containing A, U, Ma, Nad, and Bindu. Before commencing the study of Vedas, pronouncing Omkar is a must. By chanting Pranav 9 crore times, man becomes pure. By chanting it for further 9 crore times, a man develops a control over natural forces like wind, smell, and earth, etc. This pranav mantra is considered to be most powerful and helps a man to attain the abode of Shiva. 1.17 Worldly Bondage and Salvation. In the 18th chapter, all the sages requested Sataji to explain the meaning of bondages of life and salvation. Sataji replied, because of the 8 types of bondages which a man feels on this earth, the soul is also known as Jeev. The Jeev becomes liberated only after becoming free from these 8 bondages. These 8 bondages are nature, intelligence qualitative, ego, and the Panchatammatrasayi: sound, touch, appearance, taste, and smell. Each soul is binded by these 8 aspects of the nature. The actions performed as the result of these bondages is called karma. A man reaps the fruits of his actions, whether good or evil. He either enjoys pleasures or suffers because of sorrow due to this karma. The soul takes rebirth in a cyclic was binded by the effects of his karmas. The 8 chakra are nothing but the 8 forms of the nature. Shiva is beyond the reach of these 8 chakras. On the contrary, he has full control these 8 chakras. So a man can become free from the bondages of this world only by worshipping Shiva. Linga. The linga is both gross as well as subtle. There are 5 types of linga on this earth: Swayambhu linga, Bindu linga, Pradisthit linga, Char linga, Guru linga. A person desirous of worldly pleasures should worship the cross Shiva linga, whereas one who is desirous of attaining salvation must worship the subtle Shiva linga. 1.18 The worship of Parthiva linga. Sataji then explains the greatness of worshipping a Parthiva linga. Parthiva linga is the most supreme among all the Shiva lingas. All the aspersions of he deities as well as men are fulfilled by the worship of Parthiv linga. During the era of Satya, jewel was considered to be of prime importance, whereas during Tretayuga and Dwapar gold and mercury had the prime importance respectively. In the present era of Kali, a Parthiva linga hold this place of honor. The worship of Parthiva linga begets more virtues than even penance. Just as Ganga among the rivers, Kashi among the sacred places of pilgrimages, Omkar among all the mantras are considered to be superior, in the same way Parthiva linga is considered to the supreme among all the linga. Worshipping a Parthiva linga with a Nishkam bhava helps a man to attain liberation. 1.19 Methods of worshipping Parthiva linga. Elaborately describes about the methods of doing worship of Parthiva linga. After becoming fresh in the morning, a man should wear a Rudraksh garland in his neck and apply bhasma, ash, on his forehead. He should then worship the Parthiva linga. He should chant the various names of Shiva while worshipping the Parthiva linga, like Har, Maheshvar, Shambhu, Shulpani, Mahadev, etc. After worshipping the Parthiva linga, it should be immersed in the river. Then the mantra, Om Namah Shivaya, should be chanted with complete devotion. This is the method which has been described in the Vedas for the worship of Parthiva linga. 1.20 Number of Parthiva Shivalingas. The numbers of Parthiva linga differ according to one's desires. For example, a man who is desirous of learning and knowledge must worship 1,000 Parthiva linga. A man who is desirous of wealth must worship 1,500 Parthiva lingas. A man who is desirous of attaining salvation must worship 1 crore Parthiva lingas. Parthiva linga, which is equivalent to the height measured by the 4 fingers and which has been established on a beautiful pedestal, is considered to be the best. Parthiva linga, which is the half of the above-mentioned height, is considered to be medium, and still half than the second category is considered to be inferior Parthiva linga. It is better and advisable to worship a single Parthiva linga daily, because it is equivalent to the worship of the whole world. Nobody is barred from worshipping Shiva, except the people whose ancestors had been cursed by the sages like Dadichi, Gautam. Such people should also worship the 8 idols: earth, water, fire, air, sky, sun, moon, and the host, along with the Parthiva linga. A Brahmin should worship Parthiva linga as per the methods described in the Vedas. Worship should be done facing north. 1.21 Importance of Naivedya and Bilva leaves. Sataji then described about the importance of Naivedya offered to Lord Shiva. A devotee gets liberated from all of his sins merely at the sight of the Naivedya, which have been offered to Lord Shiva. He attains great virtues by having the prasada. A man must not accept the prasada if the worship have been done under supervision of a Chandala, but some of the Shivalingas like Banlinga, Siddhalinga and Swayambhu Linga are exceptions to this rule. The prasada which has been offered to the Shivalinga and remains lying on it is prohibited from having, but the prasad which is not touching the Shivalinga should be accepted. Bilva, wood apple bilva fruit, is considered to be a form of Lord Shiva. Its greatness has been eulogized even by the deities himself. It is believed that all the places of pilgrimages dwell in the bilva leaf. Lord Shiva is believed to have his abode in the roots of the bilva tree. A devotee who waters the roots of the bilva tree attain greater virtues than offering water to the deities of all the places of pilgrimages. Similarly, a devotee who worships the roots of the bilva tree attains to the abode of Lord Shiva. 1.22 The majesty of Shiva's name. Sitaji then goes on. He explained the greatness of Shiva's name and the importance of basam, ash, and rudraksh beads in his worship. The name of Shiva is as sacred as Ganges. Similarly, basam and rudraksh are as holy as river Yamuna and Sarasvati respectively. Therefore, a devotee who possesses the name of Lord Shiva on his lips, who applies basam on his person, and who wears a rudraksh in his neck attain the virtues similar to that of taking a bath in the Sangam. In the ancient time, a king by the name of Indrayamna got liberated from the bondages of the world just by chanting the name of Shiva. 1.23 The importance of basma in Shiva's worship. Basma are of two types. 1. Mahabhasma and 2. Swalpabhasma. Shroda, listener, smart, writes according to the Smrtis, and Lokik, worldly, are considered to be the Mahabhasma. There are many types of Swalpabhasma. Shrota and smart are meant only for the Brahmins. For the rest of the castes, Lokik basma is appropriate. A Brahmin must apply basma only after initiating it with the mantras. The ashes which remains after burning dry cow dung is called Agnayi basma. Applying tripunda on the forehead with the ashes after the completion of yajna is to the Upanishad. Rituals like sanya and japa should only be performed after applying tripunda on the forehead. 1.24 Importance of Rudraksh. Rudraksh is very dear to Lord Shiva, and hence all the sins of a man get destroyed if he chants the name of Lord Shiva using a Rudraksh beads. He also attains salvation after his death. It is believed that the origin of Rudraksh is connected with Shiva penance. Once while Sadashiv was performing his penance, his eyes opened due to some disturbances. He was so remorseful that tears rolled down from his eyes. These teardrops are believed to be the origin of the Rudraksh trees. Rudraksh of specific colors have been prescribed for different castes. For example, a Brahmin, a Kshatriya, a Vaishya and a Shudra have been instructed to put on Rudraksh of white color, red color, yellow color, and black color respectively. A person who wears 1100 Rudraksh on his body, he unites with Shiva. Rudrakshas are of various types, i.e. Mukha Rudraksh, 1 opening, to Rudraksh with 14 openings. Each type of Rudraksh has specific mantra and specific deity connected with it. 2. Rudra Samhita. This chapter contains 149 sections. 2.1 Shrishtikand.